Hello and welcome back to Scriptcase by Jamie. I believe this is now part 5 of this build. Well, actually it's part 3 of Let's Build, but because we had 2 parts of planning, so that there's just 5 videos already. And of course I've been cutting them short for you, so hopefully you can digest and take your time with them and maybe pick out bits and pieces from each video that you want, whatever it may be. But of course, I think maybe it's easier. So anyway, let's continue. Now, if you are still watching from the previous video, then you should have this form still on your screen. Yes, I haven't stopped yet. We're still continuing, just taking little pauses and breaks in between having a coffee and a smoke, you know? It's kind of mandatory. Well, not mandatory, but coffee definitely is. Okay, so we have our form clients. If I go ahead and run that, make sure I'm still logged in here. And there I still have the form. Okay, so we have this one ready. So let's go ahead and actually add some information in here. So let me add here Tom Jones. Let's actually capitalize that. We can actually make changes for that. So here in my fields, if I come to client name, I have here the option to change how this field works. So at the bottom here, scrolling all the way down, we have here our values format, and I have here case settings, and I want to capitalize the first word. And yeah, let's just leave it here on the name. So if I go run again and I add the name in here, like so, the first word is always capitalized. Of course, maybe I would want to capitalize everything. So I say David Smith. Yes, this guy lives in Winterfell. Why not? Winterfell, whoever David Smith is, and whatever area, cave 6. Cake, not cake, cave. I wanted not cake. Okay, and the zip code, let's just go zeros. Okay, and then of course we could choose the country, Canada, let's say. I'm not saying there's caves in Canada. Well, there's caves everywhere, really, isn't there? Okay, so we have then our first client in here. If I go cancel, we can see that first client displayed there like so, which is a very nice basic form. And you see why sometimes you may want to have, you know, not 100% width form. And okay, in some of those cases, you may want to come back here to settings and set the inputs width here to 100% and make it look maybe a little nicer like so, so that it actually fills up the entire form. And I think, of course, we will want to do that here for the form companies. And if we check that out without quickly, we have it like so. And yes, they're not 100%. And if we come here to settings, we just force that here by clicking that. We had done that already, and that's why they're actually filling up these boxes very nicely with the 50%. And if I decrease the size of that, see how that then beautifully fits in. Okay, so this may not be the best layout for mobile, but in those cases, maybe I would place the logo here into a tab instead. But that's something we can have a look at maybe later. Okay, so then we have here our grid clients as well as our grid companies. We can run those now and actually see the information or data that is available in there. And then we can start really working with that. Without any data, you can't really see anything. So I have here, first of all, my client, and let's adjust this grid first of all. So I don't want no detail, summary, or chart. I don't want the search either. Let's remove those. And we just have here our grid. We have the default settings already, so we don't have to worry about those. And I can come here to settings as well, set the vertical alignment to top, come to layout, header, footer, of course, save on the way, and then remove here the header. Now, if I run that again, we will then have the next version of our grid. And of course, we can start working from here, changing our fields, hiding our fields, editing our fields, and so on. So let's have a quick look at those. We have here the ID clients. We do not want that. The country we may not want the address in here. We may want to see the add date, update date, maybe not. So we could even remove those or add both of those on the end here. It's always good to see when they were added and when it was last updated. Now over to the right here, we can make adjustments here to where this information is stored or where the title as well as the data is displayed. So we have here the title and here then the text alignment, and we can say we want it to the left. So right now the add date and update would both be centered and everything else is to the left. So when we run that again, we see that actually that everything is here to the left except the add date and update date. And as it has not been updated yet, this has not been added yet. And as we have already set that within the form, any future changes to this form or copies or whatever will always, of course, have this automatically included. So we don't need to think about that. Okay, so then we have then our grid companies. Let's go ahead and run that one also. And while I'm at it again, I will, yes, apologize for the birds. Sometimes we have a few special ones around here. They're really beautiful. They are. I really used to love bird watching when I was younger, and then coming here and seeing some of the amazing, amazing birds that we have here. Wow, eagles and hawks and everything. It's brutal, brutal, brutal. Okay, so I need to make adjustments here. So let's remove here, first of all, the search, details, summary, and the chart. So we're left with just the grid module. We can save that so we don't get that pop-up. Come here to the settings and set the vertical alignment to the top. And then come to layout, header and footer, save on the way, and then remove here the header. And if I go ahead and run that now, we then have our grid again, ready for the next stage, adjusting our fields. So let's quickly do that. Into edit fields, remove here the ID companies, the add date, let's adjust that over here, company country we want, address I will hide, update date I will place there, the logo I will place that over here to the left. Now again, we have the same choices with the alignment of our titles and content, and again they're pretty much good except here for the logo. So that one I will place here to the center and then just save my grid. Now I may want to have the VAT number displayed here, so let's add that there also, and then we can run that and then of course view our data. Now our logo here is of course an image, so of course we want to have that image displayed. So well, you could have it just as text if you wanted to, but let's actually change that here to an image field, so image file name, save that, come down here to fields, access the logo field, and then here we can specify first of all the dimensions of that we had defined. Don't forget it's a 250, not 25. And we also need to indicate the folder. Now what did we say? We said ID companies. This was companies, ID companies, and /. Now we had placed that also into the company folder, but just to be sure, we can actually jump here to the form companies, come here to logo, and then we can just copy paste that from here to here, the grid companies, and make sure that is correct and aligns with our form, of course. So now if I go and run, we then have the logo displayed, the name, as well as all the company details and relevant dates. So this grid again is pretty much ready. But of course, we still have one very important table to think of, which, well, is not anywhere here. And we still need to think of how we want to deal with that. Because, of course, it's a reference table. We still need to add references in there. Let that table know. So let's have a look. Let's first of all create here our grid clients. Let's have a look at this. Make sure we have our buttons here. We have our add new button. So I go add new. I have add. I have here the edit button. I can always then go back and forth between those applications. Now I think it's a good idea to already create a menu system now, no matter what happens with the menu, because yes, hopefully soon we have a new one. Yeah. And for now, I'll just create a horrible, nasty old menu. Sorry guys, but yes, it's nasty. Look at this. Come on, it's you know, just the idea of even trying to use this Mac design, it was awful. It was ugly. It was ugly when they did it. So I'm going to change it. Even this one is nicer, but even this is ugly. Yeah, sorry guys, I can't help myself sometimes. The block crystal, well, there's a couple of these that you'll probably find that are bearable, like this green dark blue. I've used this one a lot, and just changed the color there slightly. It's really the simplest one. and it's the prettiest of all of them. So let's go ahead and insert first of all our items. Now I could add individual items here, but I'm just going to choose here the import and select all of them, even the blank application that we got there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and run that. And for now, yes, I have a very basic menu here, but this now allows me to access each of these applications while I'm developing them and don't really care much, and actually just need to make sure that things are working correctly, that I can access them without having to run the application all the time. Okay, so like here, I can just run the menu, and now I can access the grid companies, the grid clients, the form companies, as well as the form clients, and well, the blank application if we do something with it. Yes, we will do something with it, of course. But for now, we need to deal with here our form client and form companies association. So somewhere there, we need to add now this association between the client as well as the company. So how are we going to do this? Well, it's not really anything I've given any thought to be honest. I really have not given it any thought whatsoever. And generally, I would already know, because when should we have done this? Back here. Oh my God, yes. We should already be planning for this, okay? It's important to have the idea in place. What is going to happen? Like I said previously, if you remember and you've been following along during these videos, right now all I have is a form and a grid. And they're linked to a menu, and that is exactly now what we have created. Okay, we haven't added the reference table. So if I come here to the database, we have here our company's clients. This magic table, I'm flying around, moving around a little bit there. That table needs to also be populated. Okay, so we have a few ways of doing that. We could say, for instance, let's come back here to our little design here and maybe sketch that out in a process page. That would be a very good idea. Okay, because it is our first process. It is a very important process. Of course it is. And generally you wouldn't have to do this for this, because it would be a matter of, yeah, you've already figured this one out, how and where you're going to be doing this one. And in most cases, if you were going to be doing the database like this, then you would more than likely reference the IDs correctly, as I had done within the video and shown that we should do it like this, but we decided to go like this, and now we have to do it manually. Okay, so in this manual scenario now, we now need to add those variables manually, and we could of course create one application and just select them, insert them, and insert them, and so on. But at the same time, we may want to have, so let me grab some objects here. What can we choose here now? Oh, we'll just go with the basic things down here. We could choose our form. So I choose the robot here, and the robot here is our form. So let me add some text there so we don't mistake that for a form process or anything else that it could well be, because of course it's a robot. So this is the form. And the form, well, we want this form. Which form is it? That's a good question, isn't it? Do you know which form this is? Is it the client form? Or is it the company form? Or is it a new form? See, again, that is something you need to decide and have in your processes. So this form, whatever this form is, we want this to go and update. What are we going to choose? Okay, so we want it to update our box here, and our box here, of course, is our client and company's reference table. Yeah, I was spelling it correctly in the first place, wasn't I? Okay, so that's our client and company's reference table, and of course maybe I would want to make some adjustments to that, so let's just make that smaller. So okay, so this is our table here. Let me group that as well. So we can move this around and our form. Okay, so we have here our client and company's reference, and we may want to replicate this for our other form because we have here our customer form. So let me maybe add here, well, let's actually add an icon here again. So what did we use before? We used here the brain. So let me find that. That was here somewhere. Where did I have the brain to? Faces, people. No, so you have lots of faces there. Reactions, infographics. I think it's the infographics. Here we go. So we have here the company, and then we had here also. Is it gone? Close these ones. Don't need those, don't need those. And we have here the light bulb it was. So we have light bulb, which was which one? Does anyone remember? And then we also have this one. Okay, so client reference, and we have forms like so. And again, like so. And both of those need to be referenced in here. And of course we want to then take then maybe an arrow or something, and this, when we add into this like so, and when we add into this from the form into this table here, then of course we want this reference table here to contain all of the reference information, because now we need to think that we have here actually this relevant information from customer and then the company. Okay, so these both need to be inserted in here. And we have, of course, a few ways of doing that. We could create a form, we could create an automated process, we could create a new fields and so forth. So let's have a look at a couple of those and see then where maybe we end up. So we have then here, first of all, our form companies and form clients. So I could come in here now and create a new field, and I'll say, well, I want one new field. And that will of course be a select field, and that will now be the company. And I don't want a block. Let's just create that. And then down the bottom here, I can say it's an automatic lookup, and that is then going to look here into my companies table and get me all of the company names. Okay, and then I choose here the connection, and generally I want to use a title here so that it doesn't automatically select a name and then force me to insert it. So then I can run that, and then we have here a company select with the first company added there. Okay, so right now it's not really doing anything. And what I really want to do is also adjust the position of it. So let me drag that up here. I'll move that up to top, client name, company. So if we look at that again, we have then here the client name, company drop select, and then the address. Now you may have noticed there, we do not have a language variable here for the company. So we do want that. So let's come here to form companies. We can come here to company name, and I can really just copy and paste this one. Or of course, then we come back there to form companies, of course. So let me come back there to the form clients, and in form clients here, I could actually start entering company in here, and I'm not getting anything. But now if I go lang underscore companies, and again, I'm also not getting anything. And in general, we should actually get an automatic suggestion here. So it's probably because I haven't actually closed any applications since adding the data language. So we'll see that as we come along anyway. At some point, it will for sure come up after I've logged out. For now, it's been a long day recording these videos for you guys. So for now, I just want to continue and get to a point so we can actually call this part 1 of this project complete. But yes, I know there's been 5, 6 parts, 4 parts already, and maybe this is not really a part. Maybe this is a section, because yeah, remember, we do not know exactly what we're creating. Or do we? Maybe we do. Maybe we do. Who knows? Anyway, that's another topic, of course. We're not here for the videos. Now, if I continue on here, let's run that again and go back there, because of course, total sidetrack. We have our form there ready, as well as our company. Now we need to actually update this within our other table. So if I come now here to events, and then on after insert, I can then add in here an update option. So after it has added the client, so if I say here, insert a record, so I can remove this bit of comment here, and I want to add this to our table. So our table was called companies_clients. So let's change that, companies_clients. And then I also want to have here the ID clients. I believe it's clients. Let's double check that. ID clients, ID companies, and they are the fields that I want to store. So they're actually on the wrong side. They need to be this side. ID companies and insert. Like so. And then of course here I want to store then these fields. So now here we have here the ID companies, which is then selected here from the company field. So that would then be the company field, and then here the ID clients would then also be the ID clients field within this table, within this form, sorry. And of course we want to verify that. So if I save that, come to edit fields, let's make sure ID clients, that then matches here what we have on our after insert ID clients. Now, generally, if I go ahead and run this now, I should be able to update that table. So I'm not sure. So let's go ahead and, well, let's enable here the debug mode to make sure that whatever we're coding here actually works. Okay, because it may not work. Yeah, who knows? We're just using the snippets here, coming up with crazy ideas and, well, generating something cool. Okay, so now that we can actually view that within our form, we can actually see whether this works. Let's come back here to our after insert, run our form again, and then of course we can see then our debug information available in here. Now I already know what's going to happen, but you maybe you don't. So let's have a look at that. And of course now if I add here the sample company and click save, we can check here the process of what's actually gone on. So we have here the update. We've updated this company information, but there's no company information for this client. So sorry, I should rephrase that. We have updated the client information. Okay, and that's all we've done. We haven't updated anything because first of all, we've just updated this in our events. We only added this event to the after insert. Okay, so we would basically want to add this here into our after update. So I can add that in here, and maybe even so, you may want to place it in the before, because of course we've already stored this information and we can add it in there as well. So wherever you prefer to add it, it doesn't really matter. You can add it there. So now if I go ahead and run this again now and run the form again, I can then choose here now the sample company name, save that, and then here I can see here it has been inserted into the company/clients. So there it has gone values 1, 1. And if I then open the PHP My Admin, let's log back in there again. And if I come here now to the company's clients table, we have here now the ID of our client as well as the ID of our company added in here. We're still missing the date add and the date update, so we will want to deal with that also. So let's go ahead and close that little update window there and continue on with our code here. So the after insert, we don't really need it there. We can actually get rid of it and leave it here only on the after update. And generally, if I would be updating that after insert, I would have to make a big change there, because it's important to note that the ID clients is cleared after insert. Okay, so you need to retrieve that ID and reference the ID again. But we will come to that as we continue on with these videos, because yeah, we don't know what we're doing now, do we? Okay, what I do, of course, I have a very good idea of where this part of the project is going to, but where the future parts go to, I don't know yet. I've been thinking about it and we shall see. But for now, we will concentrate on this client company section that we are putting together. That, of course, you, my members, Scriptcase by Jamie members, can import and reuse. Amazing for you guys. For everyone else, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. You're going to have to rebuild the project by following these videos. And put up with me talking about all sorts of rubbish like videos and music and whatever else that comes to mind, while of course I'm putting something together for you guys. I'm sorry. That's the way it goes. And I'm not sorry. I gotta stop saying that because I'm really not sorry. But okay, it's the way it goes. Again. Okay, so we have then our form clients as well as our form companies, and we want to have this update. So we have here the ID clients, the ID companies. We want to then add our other two fields here. So let's replicate that there, and that was then what? Add date and then update date. Okay, so we can add those in there, and of course we will not always want to add the update date, and we will not always want to insert this into the database because in some cases this will already exist. So we will want to perform a check to see whether that value exists first, whether this ID clients and ID company is already there. So let's start thinking about that also, as well as our dates here. And what I'm going to do is use some of here my snippets that I have here, and I have loads of snippets, and of course you as members, you will have this included, nice and organized, really cool snippets I've added in here for all of the projects that are created on this channel, of course. So we have to be organized, right? The better organized we are, the better things are. Okay, so we have this here, and really I just want to add a switch in here maybe, or an if-else statement, but I could really just start here with the basic examples which everyone can use, and I want to really check for an existing record. Okay, so I want to check in my company's clients table, so let's add that there. I want to check in this table if this ID client, if ID clients, and also here ID companies. So we need to add an and statement here, and ID companies, and then we can just copy paste that from here, and there we have that ready for us. Okay, so ID companies and ID clients, and of course we can again use here our field variables, and we want to use those. So let's add those in there, and then just like that we have then already our check ready for us. So if this is then available, so let me cut that because we don't want that there no more. If it's not available, if there's no record found, then we want to update that table. Okay, so I will add that in here, and then just like that, when there is no record, it will update. Okay, and then if there is a record, maybe then we want to update it. We could do that. Okay, if in that table, I don't think we really need to, because we could deal with that in other ways. We can have a look at that. But for now, we really just want to add that reference when it's actually updated here within the client table. And we can also add another option there for adding that later on if need be. But for now, I think this is sufficient. So let's go ahead and run that now. And if I then run that and go ahead and choose now here the sample companies, we actually want to add one more element to this before we finish. Okay, and that is really the display of the company, because right now, if I run this form, let's see, we have no company here. We need to import this. If it already exists, then we want to have it displayed here, don't we? Yes, we do. We want to have it displayed there. So for that, let's come here then on load. And then on load, we want to select our tables again. So I can go selecting fields from another table, and then remove here the comment again. And it is, we can just copy the fields again from here. So I'll save that here, and let me just copy that. So companies, clients, just to make sure I get everything right, because yes, flaky as we say, or is it sketchy? Because yes, that's the way it goes when you are creating platforms like this. So there we have then our information. So we want to select here our ID clients, and we want to select here our ID companies. Okay, so let's select those, and this isn't right. We want ID clients, ID clients. So that's actually correct. So I rephrase that. It is correct. Forget, I just said it wasn't correct. It is correct. So we have now our ID clients, ID companies, and then we want to fill in here our ID companies field. Now the thing is, if we grab here our ID companies, this will essentially become an ID. Okay, so that will be an ID. It will not be a name. It will not be a name. We need to grab that name as well and fill that in as well. So let's say here we have then the client ID. I'll just copy that, paste that here, and then this then will essentially be then the company ID, like so, without the 6, of course. And then we have our client ID as well as our company ID. If we can spell it correctly, then of course it will make a big difference when we come later on down the line to adding those values. Now, ideally, we want to add those here as well. So let's say if they don't exist, then we want to set these values as nothing. Okay, otherwise we may have some issues there. And of course, we want to make some more changes here because, well, you know what they say about having lots of code in these windows, but we'll have a look at that shortly. One thing at a time. For now, we are checking and getting the company ID. So our company ID right now, this field is in fact tied to the company database. Now, if I hadn't tied the two together as I've done already, I would have to reference or grab that name from the database table, as I was just saying, really. And in this case, well, we don't really have to. So I can say ID company. Let's close that off. And then in this case, the company field will now equal the ID. And again, make sure you spell correctly. Okay, so let's save that. And if we save that, let me go ahead and run again. And now if I run, you see that now our company is populated. We can also see that up here, select ID clients, ID companies from companies clients where ID clients equals 1. So it checks that this client is already assigned to a company. So really, if we have one client for multiple companies, we would again have to make some adjustments here. So that is one restriction that we will have to now think of, is that we are now tied to one company per client. Okay. Other than that, you know, everything's good. We could, of course, make some adjustments there and have this, you know, with multiple. But for now, we'll leave it as it is. So there we have then our company filled in. And what I'll do is then let's correct that so we don't have no errors there later. And then what I'll do here is add then also here for this field n/a for non-applicable if in case, of course, there is no company found. So if I go run now and I go add new, and then of course we can add here now sample, let's add another name, let's go Tom Jones, and Tom Jones has an address, country, whatever else. And of course we could enforce these fields if we want to, and we may want to do that for the client name. Add that now, and if I cancel, let's go cancel, and then come here now to this Tom Jones, we have no company there, but we can still select the company that we have defined. Coming back to the next user that we have here, number 1, David Smith, and there we still have the company defined. So we now have 2 users here. One of them is assigned to a company, and we also have 1 company defined. So let's jump into the menu application and have a quick look at where we are. Okay, so we have our form application, and you see we still have debug mode enabled there, so we could actually quickly remove that. So yeah, it looks a little nicer maybe, and we have then the end result available for us. And with that then generated there in the background, we can refresh our menu and access that again, and our debug is gone, and we can continue to access all of our other applications that of course we are still working on. Okay, so there is a great deal to do still, as I think you can imagine. Maybe you can think of some of the things that I will be adding to this project, and we still have quite some videos to go for sure, because I can think of this lasting quite some time. Now, members, guys, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining. You are all welcome, and I hope you look forward to receiving this project within the members area. Right now, of course, I'm not going to place it there yet until we have finished phase 1 of this project. That meaning the clients and companies applications are, let's say, complete. We can then, of course, version our application and then create other things later. So as soon as we version this application for the first time, it will also be available over in the Scriptcase by Jamie's membership area. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you are enjoying this series. We will be back next week now with the continuation of this. I'm afraid, yes, next week, give you something to mull over and think about what could we be adding into the client and company platform. Whatever you like, it is going to be fun anyway, and we will be adding some really nice functionality into this. And of course, like I say, it is just part one or phase one of this project. This project you will be able to import, export, reuse, learn from, and abuse however you please. Of course, only abusement in beautiful ways, hopefully, because we can also abuse people in beautiful ways. And of course, that is the only way we would want to abuse anything, just so that part is clear. You know how things are today. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed it. And of course, continue watching in next week's video, where we will start to add some more functionality to this. And, well, hopefully finish off version 1 of the client and company platform. Let's see, shall we? So thank you very much for watching, and until the next time.